Yes, okay. Okay. Is it time to start? I guess it is. Good morning, everybody. So I'm Michelle Bandla, and I am the Director of Excel, Experiential Courses and Engaged Learning. And I'm going to talk a little bit today about how internship, the process works, and how as a faculty sponsor you can support students through the process and understand what the timelines and procedures are. So feel free to let me know if you have questions specifically. We only have 20 minutes, so I'm going to kind of go through things fast without as much detail as I would normally do. So, but first I wanted to let you know who the crew is that sort of helps with internships. So obviously I'm there, and then Diane and Jenny are our office staff, and they're on the call too. And they are the ones that are at the, support the virtual drop-ins and support students through the process and procedures and keep track of everything. So they're pretty vital to our process and our programs. So Sheila is our associate director, and she works on the co-op and co-op scholarship programs. She works through international internships and with international students doing internships, because there's the CPT and all those programs they need to go through. She's also the contact for faculty sponsors. If you've got questions about the process, and she will reach out to new faculty sponsors as needed. And she is the skills survey, career competency, career readiness program guru. So she does that. And she does the GST 101 professional skills prep, which is required for our co-op students. And then Tina is our internship coordinator. She oversees sort of all the external pieces. So working with the sites, working with the career services staff, managing the position descriptions, vetting the programs. She's our legal and standards queen. So she keeps track of all the things that we need to know to make sure that a student's covered by liability, and that the sites are covered, and that our standards are set, and so that we make sure we have quality internships. So she's the one that takes care of all that. On our website, we just spent a lot of time updating our website, creating videos, doing a bunch of things to help students and faculty through the processes. And this is a piece of our faculty sponsor page. I'll show you live in a bit, but I just wanted to point out at the bottom of the page, there are some faculty sponsor guidelines, and then all of our internship scholars standards and facts. And those are really important to review as either an advisor or a faculty sponsor, because they'll take care of a bunch of pieces that need to be taken care of before a student can even start the internship. There is a process that's involved in this, and it takes quite a few, it usually takes a couple of weeks for the whole thing to go through because of all the approvals and liability pieces that need to be taken care of. And on here, there's also links to all the different places that you can find that information. On our main website, it's the internship website, we have outlined the 5 phases that students need to complete in order to get registered and do a successful internship. These really need to start with the plan ahead in phase 1 way before the semester they want to do that internship. So it's important that they plan ahead and work with their advisor to understand the eligibility and all those credit pieces. And I wanted to point out here, we just put together some phase videos. So each phase has its own video where I walk through the process and discuss what the student needs to be thinking about. And Jeff said he watched them all, which I'm impressed for me. And he said that they are helpful to the faculty and the students and the advisors as well. And they're, the longest one I think is 7 minutes, but most of them are like 3-4 minutes long. So if you get a chance, that will give you some of the details that I may not hit on in this 20-minute session. But the first thing I'm going to do is jump over to our website where the phases are. And I'm happy the website's working. There's been some issues with the shortcuts and things, but Shout out to Rick Buck, he fixed that for me this morning, so yay. But anyway, so here's all the links to the internship and the videos. If you click on each of the plans, it goes straight down to where it needs to be. So phase one, it would be important to understand the difference between your internships and a co-op. You know, the short answer is an internship earns credit. It can be paid or unpaid. A co-op has to be paid. It has to be full-time, and the students do not earn credit for it. They get registered for a course, but there's no credit. So they're counted as full-time students, even though they're not earning credits for that. And the rest of the information is sort of outlined here of what needs to be done. The other big pieces are eligibility and criteria. You know, it's important. Students need to have a 2.5 GPA for our GST 498s. Each department has a specific internship. So business 498, comm 498, they may have different eligibility requirements and prerequisites. But typically or generally, internships have to be a 2.5 GPA and they have to be a junior or senior standing. So these are all the different things that need to be looked at. Down here again, you'll see the internship facts, timelines and deadlines. So the timelines and deadlines are important to know because like I said, if they don't get through the whole process before the first day of classes, they can't start their internship. They cannot start at a site unless they're registered for that credit and they're actually enrolled. And we can't enroll them until all the approvals have gone through the process. So, you know, it's really important to understand. We're going to kind of click on some of those things in the phases that need to be done. The other thing I want to point out is that there's a funding opportunity here. We have some great alumni who have donated money for students to do internships. And every day I get another one from the Alumni and Development Office who says, hey, I got another internship fund. So they're coming out there. We have at least 2 business ones, a communications one, and then a professional development broad based one that can be used for any student. So please send your students there to check it out and see if they're eligible. There's also lots of short links up at the top in the navigation. So all that information would be there as well. Phase 2 is about searching and applying for the position itself. You know, Tina helps students, our Diane and Jenny, Sheila, they all know how to help students kind of search for those things. They can see their career coaches and career services to help do their resumes and prepare to interview for the positions. Hire Us by Handshake is our campus database. That's where we have all of our on-campus internships, where we send all of any employers that have connections with us. They should be posting in Handshake. And then Career Shift is also another resource. There is a phase 2 video which sort of walks students through how to search for things and the different filters and pieces that are available. And I'm not looking at my notes, so if anybody sees I missed something in a phase, jump in. Phase 3 is where where the meat and potatoes start. So in order for a student to get their internship approved, the site has to fill out a verification form, their site supervisor. And this is what Tina uses to approve that process. And this is really what kicks it off. Other than before a site actually fills out this verification form, we don't have really any idea that a student's going to do an internship. So this is so important that the students have their site supervisor fill out this form because it kicks off the whole process and gives us that information that they're starting. So there is a site internship or a site website that they can go to. This is the button that the site supervisor would fill out, and this is what the verification would look like. And I'm going to show you what the actual verification looks like in a minute. When we go into Handshake, I'm going to show you what it looks like from your end as a faculty sponsor. There's a prior felony conviction policy that's really important for people to know. Every student who's doing an internship, study abroad, lives on campus, has to fill this information out. Because if they've had a prior felony, they need to go through a process so we can approve them for the internship. This is a SUNY-wide policy, and It's all done through My Oswego, so it's confidential. The student fills it out. If we get a yes, then we have to go through a process. So this is very important to know, because if, as you're a faculty sponsor and there's a holdup in their internship approval process, we can't tell you that that's why there's a holdup. So it's important that you understand that there's lots of things in the background that we're trying to work through. Other things that hold up the process is the supervisors may not really understand the standards. So that's why those standards and facts are very important, because if there's not adequate mentorship, if it's a for-profit that wants the students to do a free internship, which is just essentially free labor, that doesn't have the good mentorship and all that kind of stuff, those are all important things that Tina vets for, to make sure that the students are being covered and that the sites are being covered, because sometimes they just don't know. Other standards that people, you can't have a relative like your mom be your supervisor at an internship. All those things, and I say these things because they've come through. People have tried to do so. These are all important things, but at this stage, the students have just gotten that internship, so they need to be talking to you as the faculty sponsor about their learning objectives, and is this an appropriate site for the student to get that credit. So although Tina vets for appropriateness of a site, the faculty gets to vet for, is it appropriate for the credit the student wants to get? So if the student wants to get a 12 credits of Business 498, the business folks get to decide, is this worth 12 credits of Business 498? So they have to get 40 hours per credit and do a number of assignments and things. But is it really a business internship? That's kind of the things that the faculty sponsors get to sort of look at and decide. Tina does an awesome job, and generally it doesn't get pushed back too many times, but eventually, occasionally a department might say, yeah, I don't think this is an appropriate internship. And they have the right to do that. And we're going to talk about that. And that's where Tina would reach out and sort of talk to them about, okay, so is it something that needs to be tweaked, or is it this site is just not good or whatever? So we've had those conversations, and we welcome those conversations. So we appreciate if you have concerns about a site, that you talk about it. We also get information from faculty sponsors about whether a site is appropriate, or whether there's a site out there or a position out there that we need to reach out to maybe create a position, and Tina does those kind of things as well. Okay, so I'm going to move on to phase 4. And let's see, trying to make sure I'm on the right spot. I've lost my spot on my notes because I'm not paying attention. So, okay, phase 4. So in phase 4, this is after the position has been approved. The student will be sent an email from Diane and Jenny from Excel with all the steps that they have to do. And some of the things that are attached to that are a learning objective worksheet, because that's something they really need to talk to faculty about. And that's probably the #1 thing we send back or decline an internship at that point, is that the learning objectives just aren't hashed out well, written well. Sometimes there's things like, I'm going to do a good job. That's been one, really. That's not a learning objective. Or sometimes they're really the responsibilities, not the learning objectives. So that's where we really rely on the faculty to help out with those, because we want to make sure that they're talking about the skills they're applying from their curriculum and their degree, and that they're really well thought out, measurable learning objectives, because their assignments, which are outlined in these guidelines, are how they earn their credit. They don't earn their credit for what they do at the site. They earn their credit for the academic work that goes along with it. And they get a grade based on that academic work that the faculty sponsor puts in. on top of that, they still have to do all the hours and provide all the timesheets and all those kind of things. But this is sort of our standard guidelines. And, you know, one of the things that's always been my motto as far as faculty sponsors and internships is that we provide the standard and the structure, but the faculty provides the academic information and curriculum. So here's the structure, but in there you have lots of academic freedom to decide. I really want them to write a 4-page research paper on this topic instead of doing a elevator speech. You know, so these are some options of assignments. They have to do a midterm, they have to do a finals paper, kind of outlining their learning objectives and things. But then there's these additional assignments based on their credits. So if they're doing a 3-credit internship, they have to have at least another assignment along with it, or two more assignments, sorry. You know, if they're doing 12 credits, there has to be 12 credits worth of work and academic work onto it, because they're getting credits towards their degree. So, so this is generally, I don't have to have this conversation too much, but you know, you have to, if a student's going to do a 12-credit internship in, you know, I always pick on business because it's just the one that comes to mind, but or COM, because Jeff's in here with us in COM 498, you know, we want to make sure that they're earning 12 credits towards their degree in COM 498, and it's not just because they did a site. So it's a balance. Jeff, feel free to jump in if I'm missing anything, or if you have anything to add. So at that point, I'm going to go back to my slides. Oops, that's not what I wanted. There we go. So this is the part of the email that the students will get, kind of walking through what they have to do. And if you notice, we talk about stuff that's in phase 3, because sometimes they get to this point and they haven't done that. So, you know, the felony question, the handshake is where they're going to go in and they're going to fill out the request and experience, it's called. And we didn't have a chance to, we don't have the ability to change that. So it's in the thing, it's request and experience, which is really they're filling out their learning agreement and their application for registration. So there's a whole process, and I'm going to show you that in a minute. This is where we tell them to do their learning objectives. We put the site verification form in there, which I'm going to show you in a minute as well. And anything else that we need them to do. And then there's resources attached. So their verification form, their learning objective research worksheet we send out again, standards and facts, you know, anything we need. It's a pretty lengthy email, because every time somebody misses something, we say, oh, we should add that to the email. So unfortunately, Jenny's done a good job putting it sort of in a chart to make it a little easier, but there's also actual things they have to read too. So as a faculty sponsor, this is kind of an important spot that you can help when they're saying, oh, I'm not registered yet. Well, this is the process they need to do. Once they do all that process, and they fill out all those things, as a faculty sponsor, as an advisor, or as the site supervisor, everybody gets an email that looks just like this. And this is the link, would be here to the handshake learning agreement. And I'm going to click on it and show you in a second. But I want to be really clear, you need to keep this email. Unfortunately, we found out the hard way that if a faculty deletes that email, once the approval process finishes, we have no way to give you a new link to this learning agreement. We can send you a PDF of it, but you can't see the live link anymore. We've complained to Handshake, but there's only so much we can do. So we added this attention, please keep this email in the middle of this email. So at the very least, I think keep the link, because that's what you need to go back in to see. So I'm going to pull this link, and Diane did a sample one for us. So this isn't a real student. And of course, it's going to take a long time to load. How am I on time? Oh,
can I give a quick tip?
What?
Can I give a quick tip, Michelle?
Go ahead, because we're out of time already. This is the 20 minutes I knew was going to be too short.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that because a lot of times as a faculty sponsor, the students submit their learning objectives, and then you have to before you approve it, you have to go back and, have them readjust them or so, yeah, fix them and stuff like that. And they can go in and fix them there. Um, as far as saving the emails, I found that what works really good for me is I just, a lot of email programs have like a way you can flag emails like a certain color or whatever. For me, it's, internships are green. So anytime I get these emails, I just flag them green. And so then anytime I need to go back to a student, I've got a nice, neat little spot where, because it says the student's name right there for approving, you can go right back in. So that's made a huge difference in saving me a lot of time and effort trying to search and find that email to go back in and look at the learning objectives. That was my
I meant to introduce Jeff. Jeff is our communications internship coordinator. So he does 40 to 50 internships a semester, usually 30 to 40. So he's sort of the one that has figured out a lot of the processes and procedures. But anyway, this is what the thing looks. I'm going to go through the rest really quick. I only had a couple more slides anyway, but this is what your area looks like. This is what